burning. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, it has been an insane 72 hours. Here is now exactly what is taking place. And I don't know what else to say, really. I am starting to feel like we are living at the end of the Roman Empire. Some areas of the United States certainly now give off that feeling. So, in the last 72 hours, it began Friday night. And I want to stress, because this point cannot be stressed enough. ICE executing search warrants. Again, they had search warrants conducting a regular anti-illegal immigration enforcement operation. Routine. They've been doing this in city after city after city. Went into downtown Los Angeles, where they targeted several business sites, one of them a Home Depot. And yet this time, as they went into LA, the anti-ICE pro-criminal activists were ready. They had put up photos, posters everywhere, saying ICE is coming into our neighborhood and we are going to resist. And my God, did they resist. Within hours, ICE agents were confronted with thousands upon thousands of so-called protesters. It turned violent almost immediately. Thousands of protesters, many of them waving the Mexican flag. In fact, all you see are Mexican flags or protesters with the Mexican soccer jersey. Many of them only talking in Spanish. And their chant, F ICE, F America. This is Mexico, la Reconquista, the reconquest of California and southwestern United States. And with these chants, kill ICE agents, they went after ICE. Many ICE agents were assaulted. Glass bottles, rocks, projectiles, urine were thrown upon ICE agents. They began to then light cars on fire. ICE agents were besieged. Many of them had to regroup into a federal detention facility. They were then surrounded by over 800 protesters, them chanting, let them out, let them out. The detention center was detaining hundreds and hundreds of criminal illegal aliens, some child molesters, drug traffickers, drug dealers, MS-13 gangbangers. It didn't matter. The crowd breached the first layer of security. Finally, ICE put on riot gear and began to push back. Now, this is very important because this is at the heart of a major debate between the entire Democratic Party, Governor Gavin Newsom, LA Mayor Karen Bass, and the entire liberal corporate media. They claim that the police, the local authorities, had the situation under control. They did not. It's clear from witnesses, from cameras, from all evidence that is humanly available. Local authorities, and now the police chief has admitted, the LA police chief has admitted, we are, quote, overwhelmed with violence and vandalism. And with the LAPD now, it was 2 hours, with ICE now taking beating after beating, with their building about to be stormed, with ICE agents now being beaten, assaulted, cars on fire, and roving, rampaging, violent mobs. LAPD for 2 hours did not show up. They did nothing. California Governor Gavin Newsom dithered, did nothing. LA Mayor Karen Bass dithered, did nothing. So, Finally then, they sent in DHS agents, FBI agents, federal agents to reinforce now ICE agents under siege. All that did was now incite the mob even more. And so throughout Saturday and throughout Sunday, it went from several thousand to tens of thousands of protesters taking over the streets, chanting, "Our streets." Whose streets? Our streets. Again, openly calling for death to ICE agents and death to America. Even more Mexican flags now. Cars are being burned. Businesses are being destroyed. Windows smashed. Businesses looted. ICE agents and other federal law enforcement being sent to the hospital. They have set up marauding barricades on the streets, blocking ICE agents or anyone from crossing the streets, waving the Mexican flag. As I stare to you right now, okay, as I speak to you right now, forgive me, there is an illegal alien who has a skull mask on, no shirt, standing on top of a car that is burnt to a crisp, waving the Mexican flag and chanting, "Viva Mexico! Viva Mexico!" The most iconic symbol of this insurrection. And this is exactly what an insurrection looks like. To all you crazy moonbats out there, you want to see what a real insurrection is? This is a real insurrection. J7. From this point forward, this will be known as the J7 insurrection, where illegal alien criminals rampaged, rioted, burned, looted on the streets of Los Angeles, and it was all done with the clear support of the Democratic Party, the governor, and the mayor. The most iconic picture, which will live, I believe, in infamy, is that of a burning car in the middle of a street, surrounded by these hoodlums and thugs, terrorists, and a man, an illegal, on a motorcycle, something out of a Mad Max movie, driving around in circles, spinning his wheels, driving around the burning car, waving a Mexican flag. Donald Trump, Tom Homan said they've seen enough. If the mayor won't act, if the governor won't act, if that useless LAPD police chief won't act, if the local law enforcement are too afraid, then it's time to call in the federal government. Trump has now ordered 2,000 National Guard troops. He has federalized the California National Guard under the Insurrection Act. He is now bringing in the National Guard. They're already pouring in as I speak to you. The anti-ICE protesters and insurrectionists are now saying they are now going to escalate. No justice, no peace, as they chant on the streets. These are our streets, not the streets of ICE or of Trump. I want to be crystal clear to everybody right now. What we are watching in Los Angeles and the destruction is now everywhere. Cars looted, burned to a crisp. Businesses, neighborhoods hollowed out. Thousands of protesters yesterday afternoon, in an unbelievable act of anarchy, stormed Freeway 101, one of the biggest major highways in downtown LA. They stopped traffic. They began to pelt cars, especially police cars, with bricks, stones, projectiles, anything they could get their hands on, bottles. Those in their cars were terrorized, many fearing for their very life. Highways are occupied, streets and neighborhoods occupied. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, now says that active duty Marines are ready to be deployed at the moment the president says so, from Camp Pendleton, which is a major military base in Southern California. In the midst of all of this mayhem, havoc, anarchy, chaos, insurrection, they are defying federal authority. This is an insurrection against federal authority, against immigration enforcement, and against secure borders. It is an act of rebellion. And the protesters admit this is a rebellion against Trump, a rebellion against the federal government, a rebellion against ICE, a rebellion against our immigration laws themselves. And in all of this, Gavin Newsom, that scumbag governor, has now come out and condemned Trump for deploying the National Guard, saying it was, quote unquote, unnecessary, inflammatory, an abuse of power. Karen Bass, who is actively supporting these rioters, actively backing them, has now come out and said that ICE agents even being present in Los Angeles is now sowing terror and fear on the streets of LA, that they should leave, that there is no place for ICE in Los Angeles. My friends, things are getting ugly. Great WRKO, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, there's no question now. This is an absolute seminal, pivotal watershed now in Trump's presidency, and in many ways in the direction of the United States. And Trump knows it. So does Stephen Miller. So does Tom Homan. So does J.D. Vance. So does Kristi Noem. So does Pete Hegseth. His administration now clearly knows this is a full-blown left-wing Democrat insurrection. This is now the sanctuary cities, the sanctuary states, taking their stand against Trump and federal authority and federal immigration law and enforcement itself. Now, just so that you know, over 24 Democrat governors have now signed a letter essentially standing with the rioters. They have said that the National Guard should leave, that Trump is the one at fault, that he never should have federalized the California National Guard, and that this is an issue for local law enforcement and local officials to handle, and that ICE should not be conducting operations in sanctuary cities across the United States. That conducting any operation by ICE is, they say, provocative, and it is sowing terror, fear, and chaos in so-called, quote-unquote, immigrant communities, i.e. where the illegal aliens live. In other words, what they're saying is that sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, when it comes to the immigration laws and the sovereignty of this country, have effectively seceded. And that they are now openly going to subvert and defy, in other words, wage an insurrection against the Trump presidency and against the laws and sovereignty of the United States. That's what's going on. Listen now. This is Border Czar Tom Homan going on about Karen Bass. Karen Bass went on unbelievably reckless and irresponsible. In many ways, I blame her and Newsom for what is happening now in California and in LA. She supported these rioters. She supports sanctuary cities. She was the one who started with the hysteria. ICE is coming! ICE is coming! And they were going on about fascists on the streets, abducting people left, right, and center. sowing hysteria, fear, trauma, terror, and of course, the anti-ICE activists, it was all coordinated. They hit the streets, and they had one mission: burn LA to the ground and drive ICE agents out. Listen now to Tom Homan saying, we're bringing in the National Guard. Roll cut 3A, Mike.
This is about enforcing the law, and again, we're not going to apologize for doing it. We're stepping up. She says they're going to mobilize. Well, guess what? We're already ahead of the game. We're already mobilizing. We're going to bring National Guard in tonight. We're going to continue doing our job. We're going to push back on these people, and we're going to enforce the law.
So, and that's when the National Guard was then called in. Now, Trump met with his cabinet at Camp David yesterday and issued a executive order in which he said, and I'm basically quoting him verbatim, that he has now authorized Kristi Noem, Department of Homeland Security, Pete Hegseth, Department of Defense, Pam Bondi, Department of Justice, to take all necessary action to quell the civil unrest and the insurrection and the violence that is now breaking out all across Los Angeles. And he is warning Newsom, warning Karen Bass, warning these rioters and insurrectionists that there will be fully restored law and order. And he says if it'll take 5,000 troops, 10,000 troops, 20,000 troops, it doesn't matter how many troops. And furthermore, he's already warned them, if the National Guard come under attack, he's calling in the Marines. He's going to send in the U.S. military. So, I want to ask all of you, it is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Siding, Roofing, and Windows. Was Trump right to federalize California's National Guard? Was he right, in other words, to send in 2,000 National Guard troops or to deploy them in Los Angeles over the weekend to try to quell and stop the rioting, burning, looting, and rampaging by criminal illegal aliens? A, yes. B, no. You know where I stand. I am a yes all the way. If anything, he should have sent in more. Not criticizing him. I just don't know if 2,000 is going to do it. But again, let's hope it does. I don't think it will. It was a horrible night last night. And activists are now saying they're going to put even more of these pro-criminal anti-ICE activists on the streets. So what we now have, it's bedlam. It's bedlam. It is pure anarchy and chaos right now in Los Angeles. Many of those places now are no-go zones for ICE. A, yes. B, no. You can vote on my webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER. I was very active on X last night. You saw me. I was giving a lot of information about what's going on over there and what needs to be done. If you want to vote via ICE, please do. Via X. Sorry about that. If you want to vote via X, please do. My handle there, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhn as in national ER. All right, my friends. LA is going up in fire and smoke. The Democrats are siding with the rioters, sort of like George Floyd and those riots in the so-called Summer of Love in 2020. LA burning. Your reaction and calls. Bulldozer 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell is now saying, according to NBC Los Angeles, we are quote-unquote overwhelmed. Saying now that fireworks, as he puts it, commercial-grade fireworks, are now being thrown at officers. This is how they're starting many of the fires on these cars. He says many agents, many officers now are in a real threat of being burned alive. He said this can kill you, this can burn you alive. Even now, the LAPD chief is begging for outside help. So he's undercutting everything that Newsom and Karen Bass are claiming. Now, furthermore, just very quick, what police are now reporting and saying this is extremely dangerous is that these insurrectionists, these anti-ICE rioters, these left-wing protesters are bringing hammers with them, going up to federal buildings, and there are these like sort of small cement posts, bollard posts, as they're called, and they're smashing the cement, hammering away, and breaking up the cement into bits and pieces. And the reason is they then take the rocks or the broken pieces of the concrete, and they are using it as deadly weapons to pelt the police, to smash cars, windshields, to throw them at police vehicles. Now, what is also happening is that cars, just regular cars, not just police cars or police vehicles and border patrol vehicles, but just regular cars are being torched everywhere, including Waymo taxis. These are self-driving taxis. There's no driver. They're self-driving. They're $150,000 a pop, and they have burned countless of them. They just torch them and light them up and then do their motorcycle rides around it in circles, waving Mexican flags, or standing on top of them, waving the Mexican flag. So everybody now is saying the violence is getting worse. There are going to be tens and tens and tens of thousands of protesters who are rioters, insurrectionists, who are now going to continue to take to the streets. So far, only 300 of the 2,000 National Guard troops have arrived. The rest are expected to arrive today, but the fear is that 2,000 may not be enough. So, my question to you, are we watching a full-blown insurrection? Who do you blame for this? Do you blame Newsom, Karen Bass, and these dangerous anti-ICE pro-criminal activists? Or do you blame the president, as the left, the Democrats, and the media are, saying that by sending in ICE, he lit a match? That by sending in the National Guard, he's now needlessly escalating the situation and now making it even more lethal and more dangerous. And the ultimate question, should Trump send in the military? 617-266-6868. Let's unleash the hounds. Mark in Medford, you're going to kick us off, Mark. Thanks for holding. And welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for letting me kick off the show. So, of course, Trump is right in doing what he's doing right now. Jeff, federal crimes are being committed. Therefore, federal law enforcement and the military should step in. But I just want to figure out something here. So, you live in Mexico, right, Jeff? Let's just use you for an example, okay? You live in Mexico. You spend thousands of dollars to cartels to sneak you into this country illegally. Then you get caught. And then you have the balls to come out and wave your Mexican flag saying, Viva Mexico, long live Mexico. Okay? America sucks, death to America, ICE sucks, death to ICE. What the hell did you leave Mexico for?
It's a brilliant point, Mark. It's what everybody's commenting on. They just can't believe it. So there you go, Mark. And notice how many of them, and this is Laura Loomer's point, and I have to say she's right. Notice, Mark, how many of them military-age men. Now you know why they were pouring in by the millions and millions under Biden. But they were young, strong, military-age men. Because if the Democrats ever needed them to rise up, they can do riot after riot after riot. And look at them, Mark. They're fearless. They're fearless. I mean, they're walking right up to these cars, these ICE vehicles, Border Patrol vehicles, pelting them with stones, rocks, bricks, glass bottles, you name it. And you're right, Mark. If they fled Mexico to come here for all the goodies, the free food and the free housing and the free welfare, and now the possibility they could be sent back, and what's their reaction? They wave the Mexican flag, the flag of the country that they fled? These are invaders. I mean, they're literally making all these idiots waving that Mexican flag and riding around in their motorcycles, circling these burning vehicles with smoke coming out of them. They're literally making Trump's point. This is an invasion. This is an occupation. This is what they call la Reconquista. They're claiming now California is theirs. Get out. I mean, Mark, this is treason. This is out-and-out sedition. I mean, am I wrong?
You're like you always say, you're 1,000% correct. And, you know, this is Trump. Well, you asked a question a little while ago, Jeff. Who's to blame here? Is it Bass? Is it Newsom? Or is it Donald Trump? No, Jeff. You're leaving the most important person out here. Joe effing Biden is to blame for all of this. Not Bass, not Newsom, not Trump. It's Joe Biden.
Mark,
Don't let him off the hook, Jeff.
Drop the mic. You are 1,000% correct. Mark, thank you very much for that call. Bingo. Vince in Deutschland, in Germany. Go ahead, Vince. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Jeff, I voted for this. This is what I voted for, absentee from Germany last November. And we all knew that it was going to come to this because the Democrats made a calculus. The communists with the auto pen, and I have to correct Mark, you can't blame Joe Biden. He's a senile old man, okay? It was Anita Dunn and Susan Rice and Mayorkas and all those communists with the auto pen who flooded the border. They made a calculus. They said that we're going to flood them in, and there's no way we're going to get them out. It would just be too insurmountable to get them out. But I think that Trump, for all of the problems this country has, and you know, I was pretty hard on him about Kash Patel and the Epstein list, but now I've seen the light. It's clear as day that Trump has made a calculus. He said, we got to take care of the border, we got to deport these people, and we have to secure the elections or the country.
Vince, can you please hang on? I'm up against a hard break, but I want you to finish your point, where you're basically saying, look, Trump is willing to turn a blind eye to certain things for now because he realizes the invasion and the border and deportations are his number one priority. Oh, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, violent riots and insurrection now. There's no other word to use, really. Has now erupted in Los Angeles over the last 72 hours. Friday night, Saturday night. It got even worse Sunday night. It has now gotten so bad, they are sending in, Trump has ordered the National Guard, 2,000 troops to come in. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth now says that active duty Marines are on quote-unquote high alert. They are ready to be deployed as well, should Trump give the order. Trump had an emergency meeting with his cabinet yesterday to try to quell the unrest, but make no mistake about it. The sanctuary city of Los Angeles, the sanctuary state of California, is now not just in open defiance of the federal government, but it is now attacking law enforcement with absolute impunity. Burning, rioting, looting, federal agents now being sent to the hospital, cars being set on fire all across L.A., businesses smashed, looted, highways occupied, streets barricaded. It is absolute bedlam, chaos, and anarchy. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Vince in Germany, in Deutschland. Vince, you were saying you voted for this. This is exactly what you wanted from Trump, to come in with a hard line, send in the military, start occupying these sanctuary cities, and deport every single illegal alien out. Please, Vince, pick up where you left off.
That's right, because Trump knew that this country would be lost unless we got those people out of here. You know, they're being counted in the census, which means they have congressional representation, which means the Democrats get more seats, and they just run amok, you know, and they're following the John Podesta plan, which is secession by the blue states, by the blue cities, to oppose us. And that's why the Congress, the Democrats, tried to limit Trump's power of using the Insurrection Act between 2020 and 2024, because they knew that if he came in and he implemented the Insurrection Act, he'd be able to sweep them all out of here with the military. He has the authority to do it. He needs to go full Abraham Lincoln and start arresting all of these criminals and jail them. And I'm surprised he hasn't suspended the writ of habeas corpus yet, but he's already laid the groundwork for it. He's put it out there. He's dangled it. So people know that that's coming. All right. And one thing I want to focus on is this guy, Ron Gochez. He's one of the organizers. And the Data Republican, small r, on X, at Data Republican, had a 4-minute speech. To listen to this guy, Jeff, it's like listening to Fidel Castro or Che Guevara. These people are communists, they're insurrectionists, and they're criminals, all right? We need to take a hard line, and I think that Trump, he's focused on that. With all the problems on his plate, he's focused on that. Mass deportations and voter fraud.
Vince, I agree with you completely. Completely, every single word. Vince, let me ask you this. The fact, are you shocked, are you surprised that so many of these insurrectionists and rioters are waving the Mexican flag, chanting Viva Mexico, death to America, death to ICE, this is our land, La Reconquista? How many of them are saying these are our neighborhoods, our streets, this country belongs to us, that they would be so brazen in their pro-Mexico, pro-Mexican revanchism, their chauvinism. I mean, they're basically saying our loyalty is to another country. We are a foreign invading force, and we're not going anywhere. Are you shocked that they're so open now about their rebellion and treason against the United States?
You know what? That Mexican flag is just a symbol. It could be a Confederate flag. It could be a dang Schwartz sticker for all we know. You know what I mean? Do you really think all those people are Mexican? How many are Venezuelan? How many are Salvadoran? You know, it's a symbol. They've adopted the Mexican flag as a symbol, all right? And they're trying to say we're going to reconquer the Southwest. We're going to take back what the United States stole from them. But Mexico gave that up freely. I mean, they sold us the Gadsden Purchase. And, yeah, we did beat them in a war. You know what I mean? But they're conquistadors as well. So that just shows how asinine it all is. It's just a symbol.
Interesting. Vince, thank you very, very much for that call. Mike and I were just talking about this, off air. And Mike made a really good point, saying, Jeff, by waving those Mexican flags, and especially now this iconic picture of that lunatic in the motorcycle going in circles around this burning car, waving the Mexican flag, it's playing right into Trump's hands. Trump is saying, this is not an insurrection. Take a look. These aren't migrant invaders. Take a look. This isn't a migrant occupation. Take a look. This is not an all-out insurrection and rebellion. Take a look. They're flying a foreign flag as they're burning L.A. to the ground. So, and as Mark in Medford brilliantly pointed out, well, you all came from, allegedly, you came from Mexico here. If you love Mexico so much, go back. Go back. But no. You want the free goodies. Huh? You want the gringo to pay for your welfare, to pay for your food, to pay for your Section 8 housing, to pay for your health care, to pay. Trump should send in the military and keep them in Los Angeles until they go door to door, house to house, neighborhood to neighborhood, and expel and deport every single illegal alien. Vamos. Out. Go. Bye. Agree. Disagree. 617-266-6868. Eddie in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Eddie, and welcome.
You know, the first thing we have to do, Jeff, and everybody knows it, we got to cut off all these benefits. That's all, just across the board. I mean, look, it's doing it to this state. And I hear Mayor Bassett, she said go and demonstrate, but she did add peacefully. Well, Trump added that too when they impeached him. So at the very least, she ought to be arrested. And they want the police to do, where have the police been for 3 days? You know, it's just like January 6th. All the politicians, oh no, we can't do this, can't do this. And all the police say, we need more help here. And they say, well, don't send in the guard. Well, the police need more help, same as the Capitol Police call for more help. And, you know, this, I believe the word was nullification in the Civil War. South Carolina started it by saying we don't have to obey certain laws. If they go against what we believe or what we need, we go against them. And that's what started to help start the Civil War.
Well, you know, it's funny. The Democrats fought over their slaves, and they broke our union. And now we're getting very close to the Democrats essentially saying, well, we're going to start another civil war, this time over our illegals. I mean, you know, the illegals are the ones who pick their crops. They're their maids. They do their landscaping. Though, you know, they exploit their cheap labor, and they use them for their cheap votes, for their illegal votes. So what they're really saying is, we started one war to protect our slaves. Now we're willing to start potentially a second war to protect our illegals. I mean, it's really, you're right, it's disgusting. And it's a form of, it's modern day nullification. You're completely right, Eddie. No, we are not going to accept the sovereignty of the federal government. No, we're not going to accept the enforcement immigration laws of our country. No, we are essentially seceding from America when it comes to immigration, deportation, sovereignty, enforcement. No, you can't. The federal government cannot come into our cities or our states and enforce immigration law. And if ICE comes in, we're going to shoot them, and we're going to resist them, and we're going to push them out. And if we got to throw Molotov cocktails, as they're doing, if we got to throw stones, if we got to throw bricks, pieces of concrete, if we've got to attack them, if we've got to burn parts of the city down, if we got to surround federal buildings, they're surrounding federal buildings and threatening to storm. Not threatening, they tried to storm the buildings multiple times. And that's why they had to resort to tear gas and rubber bullets to push them back. But they're barricading streets, they're occupying highways. And this is the scary part, Eddie. It's spreading. It's spreading across Los Angeles. It's spreading across California. Last week, it happened in Minneapolis. Not as bloody as L.A., but there were clashes, literally fights, clashes on the streets of Minneapolis because the Moonbat governor and the Moonbat mayor of that city said, ICE are fascists, get them out. And so there were huge confrontations and battles on the streets with with ICE and federal agents in Minneapolis. In Boston, I've talked about it here. Well, guess what? Everybody, please, you need to hear this. There is a huge rally by anti-ICE pro-criminal activists planned for today at the Boston Town Hall. They want to go in front of the mayor's office, and they want to start a massive rally. Now, the fear is that the violence and the rioting in L.A. could break out here in Boston. And as I said on X last night, if there is not a massive police presence today, then you know that Governor Healy and Michelle Wu want the rioting and the looting and the burning, like in L.A., to happen here. And they're planning massive riots and rallies and demonstrations in Oregon, in Washington State, in New York. So, as I said, this is going to spread unless you crush it. You have to crush it now. Because this is going to be like the Black Lives Matter, George Floyd riots of the so-called Summer of Love. It is going to spread and spread and spread and spread. And a lot of people are going to die. There's going to be a lot of cops in the hospital, a lot of them maimed, some will be killed. Many innocent bystanders, civilians are going to be killed, and they're going to start razing cities to the ground. And it's coordinated. There's no question. There's no question. This is actively planned. This is a planned insurrection. This is Antifa. This group called CHRLA, and I'm going to get to them in greater detail. Okay? This is an NGO, a pro-open border NGO. Antifa with local, state, and national Democrats. And they are coordinated, well-organized, well-funded. And they now have made a move. We are going to bring Trump's presidency down. We are essentially going to quasi-secede from the United States. But you're not touching our illegals. And so Trump realizes this is it now. If he doesn't deploy the National Guard, if he doesn't send in the military, then this whole thing can unravel. Eddie, final word to you.
Jeff, if they're picking all the crops and cleaning all the homes, why are we giving them all the benefits? They're already getting paid.
That's a great point. That's a great, well, they work under the table. They don't pay taxes. People like to hire them because they're cheaper, because they can charge less, because they're living on all of this welfare. So, they get multiple streams of income. And the moment they heard ICE was coming, they panicked. Because now you're cutting them off. Now you may even be deported. And the amazing thing, Eddie, is I'm talking about, these are mainstream, I always go to the local media. Whenever there's a big story, I always go to local media because they tend to have the best reporting on the ground. This is Los Angeles Times. This is NBC LA, ABC LA, CBS LA. So this is not some kind of fringe website. And they're interviewing these protesters. And they openly say, oh yeah, my mother's an illegal. No, my whole family's illegal. I mean, I was born here, but no, my parents, my uncles, my aunts, no. We're not going to let them be deported. No way. No way. They go over my dead body. So they're openly saying, most of my family came in here illegally. And, they admit it. Yeah, they're on welfare. All of them are on welfare. They're all collecting $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 worth of government benefits. And if they work under the table, do an odd job at Home Depot or at a construction site or work for a while at a restaurant or wash dishes or clean homes, that's pocket money. That's extra money. So, and they think they're entitled to live like this. And, many of them, the amazing thing is they go, yeah, we've been here 20 years. Like, what, we're going to leave now? We're not leaving now. We've been here 20 years. Like, it's a lifestyle. And I mean, Eddie, they're not messing around. They don't want to leave. I mean, I'm just telling you, they are entrenched and they're willing to go to the mat. They're not like these crazy moonbats here in Boston, that like to play the rebel and like to play the activist and like these white privileged liberals that go to these universities and like to play protester for a day or two. No. You can tell these are hardcore criminal illegal aliens. And they're telling Trump what they want to do, and they're about to do it if we don't break them, is what the Muslims have done in Europe. Set up these no-go zones, like in Paris, in Germany, in Rome, and in London. That's what they're trying to do now in LA and other places. No. ICE, you can't come here. Now, they're openly saying, all of them, abolish ICE, abolish the police. Forget ICE. They don't want any police, like Black Lives Matter and Antifa. They're saying, no police, no ICE. Like in Mexico, we patrol ourselves. We want a no-go zone. This is our city, our neighborhood, our street. F off to the gringo. And Trump knows this. He's being told this. And that's why Hegseth said, look, man, we got to send in the Marines. Like, this thing is it's going to escalate, and they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. So if I'm Trump, this is the golden opportunity you've been waiting for. You send in the National Guard, you send in the military, you send in the Marines. I don't care if it's 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 troops. And you use the military, and you just deport every single one of them. You love Mexico so much? You love waving the flag so much? No problemo, amigo. Okay? Nice first-class ticket, right back to Mexico. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Jeff in Chelsea. Thanks for holding, Jeff, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Are you there, Jeff?
Yep. Go ahead, Jeff. You're on the air.
Yes. Now, as far as Trump's concerned, Trump is 100% right in what he's doing, and you said the magic word, no-go zones. Take that to its logical conclusion. Countries within a country putting down the drawbridge, allowing red Chinese, Russian, and Iranian and Islamic invaders right on American soil to conquer America. Imagine this happening in Boston. The drawbridge comes down. You see Chi-Com, Soviet, and Islamic soldiers in this country raping and pillaging this country, all-out warfare beyond civil war. You see, these blue states are soft areas. This Saturday will be Gay Pride Day. And imagine Islamists attacking that parade now or in the future and then cheering about it like it's a baseball game to their jihadi friends. This is the danger that these blue states and cities are in. The communists have infiltrated the top levels of our governments. They're allowing this to happen. And if we don't get a handle on it now, Trump will have to send in active duty Marines, special forces, and the only way to solve it is by lead. I don't want to see that happen, and neither does any civilized, sane person. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, Jeff, look, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I think we may have no choice. I mean, we'll see what happens over the next 24 to 48 hours. I hope things calm down. I'm praying that things calm down. But these insurrectionists, these J7 insurrectionists, they're not playing around. And they've got a lot of guns too. Now, they haven't used them so far, but they're not going to cede now. For them, this is conquered territory. These are invaders, and they are not going to let LA go. That's the epicenter of their invasion. California is the epicenter of their invasion. And so my big fear, Jeff, is We've allowed this to fester and go on for so long, for so many years, for so many decades, and allowed so many of these illegals to pour in. It may have to take bullets to push them out. I don't want it to come to that. Don't get me wrong, please. I'm not a man of violence, far from it. But, you know, we're going to see what happens. But the fact that the National Guard is coming in is inflaming the illegals. They're threatening now even more violence. And if they start to attack the National Guard, then Hegseth's going to have to send in the military. And once you send in the military, honestly, all bets are off. And so that's why I think Trump honestly now needs to address the nation. This is an insurrection, and he has to call in the military and demand that Congress fund his mass deportations and get these illegals out now. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, listen now. This is some sound. I mean, the visuals are really disturbing, but this is some sound of these anti-ICE rioters and insurrectionists pounding Border Patrol vehicles, law enforcement vehicles, law enforcement agents with bricks, rocks, pieces of concrete, Molotov cocktails, glass bottles, you name it. I mean, whatever they could get their hands on. And it was absolute bedlam. They are targeting, in particular, federal buildings downtown where illegal aliens had been arrested and were being detained. And they were hoping to break into these buildings in order to get the illegals out, to storm them, and to free all the so-called illegals. And they then began to throw explosives, commercial-grade fireworks, other kinds of explosives. Police had to back away. Some cars were completely torched. Other police officers were sent to the hospital. They desperately needed and called in reinforcement. Roll cut 20, Mike. We hear that. That's the rioters throwing explosives and commercial grade fireworks at the ICE agents and at the building. Everywhere you see graffiti now, they're putting there's burnt out cars, torched completely, and you see, forgive me, F ICE or F America or Kill ICE, or you name it, or La Reconquista, or Viva Mexico. And when you see so many cars being torched, it's like a hellscape. It's like out of, as I said, a Mad Max movie, where you have burnt out cars, neighborhoods now burnt, and marauders and vandals on motorcycles, waving a foreign flag. And, you know, chanting, you know, death to America or death to ICE or kill ICE or F ICE as they go around and barricade, block cities, block highways, and terrorize residents and people in their cars. Listen now, this is a CBS LA reporter, Lauren Posen, and she's trying to cover what's going on. And there is such a ferocious clash between these rioters and ICE agents and local law enforcement. Tear gas is flying, projectiles are flying, rocks, pieces of concrete, and tear gas that she can barely speak. Roll cut 21, Mike.
Let's get to Lauren Posen, who is down there. Lauren, what are you seeing and hearing? It's looking like things are getting chaotic.
A large crowd of law enforcement come out.
We have, oh my God, we have tear gas, we have fireworks going off, tear gas is in the air, people are dispersing. I can't see anything. I'm sorry, I can't see anything.
Mm-hmm. Lauren, yeah, back up if you can. We want you to be safe first and foremost. So, Lauren, please gather yourself, get to safety. Yeah. We know we have a chopper shot that we can take as well.
Absolutely.
Can we possibly take this chopper shot here? We want to get Lauren to safety. As you can hear, she can't really breathe in that area. Yeah. It sounds like a lot of tear gas.
There you go. Huh? No. This is not Somalia. This is not Syria. This is not Ukraine. This is not Sudan. No. This is America, downtown L.A. 617-266-6868. I've said this many times before. It's now being completely vindicated. You bring in the third world, you become the third world. Listen now to border czar Tom Homan. He was on NBC with Jacob Soboroff. And he's saying, look, we're sending in the National Guard. Molotov cocktails are being thrown. ICE agents are being lit on fire. Cars are being torched. Entire neighborhoods are being destroyed, burned, and looted. And the local police are overwhelmed. The mayor doesn't know what to do. Gavin Newsom doesn't know what to do. If they don't, we will. Roll cut 6, Mike.
President Trump is sending the National Guard to help us protect public safety here. You've seen the videos. Go to these protests and see what's happening. We got protesters making threats against officers, assaulting officers. Now, just recently, in the last hour, we got protesters with Molotov cocktails. The protesters are purposely trying to overwhelm law enforcement. President Trump's being the National Guard. Again, I want to be clear, not just to protect the law enforcement officers, to protect this community. Because people are going to get injured. I'm telling you, the rhetoric is so high against ICE officers in this city. It's a matter of time before someone gets seriously hurt.
He's right. In fact, I can't believe no one's been killed yet. I can't believe it. I'm telling you, it's just, I can't believe it. You're going to start to see dead bodies. If this continues, there's no question. There is no question. Now, listen to this. I want you to just stand back for a second. The biggest city, the most important city in your entire state, is literally going up in smoke in front of your eyes. Rioting, burning, looting, rampaging. And listen to Homan saying, where the hell is the governor? Roll cut 6A, Mike. Okay, we're having some technical issues. But anyway, okay, you got it, Mike? Good job.
Governor Newsom's an embarrassment for the state. He's the one that's feeding this mantra. He supports sanctuary cities. He supports sanctuary laws. If he cared about public safety in the state of California, he would not have a sanctuary for criminals.
Homan is completely right. Now, Homan is now saying that if Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom continue to obstruct ICE operations or now the deployment of the National Guard, they are going to be arrested and they're going to go to jail. Gavin Newsom has now responded. I've got that response, your calls, your reaction next. Don't touch that dial.
Tom Homan, the border czar, said to me yesterday he did not rule out literally arresting you, nor Mayor Bass, if you interfere in his work. He said you hadn't yet.
He's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do that? He knows where to find me. But you know what? Let your hands off 4-year-old girls that are trying to get educated. Let your hands off these poor people. They're just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes. Been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. I don't give a damn.
So there you go. Go ahead, arrest me, tough guy. That, of course, was California Governor Gavin Newsom, as Trump likes to call him. I mean, this guy's a clown. He's an ass. He's an absolute ass. So as I said, the largest city in your state is going up, literally going up in smoke. You've got tens of thousands of rioters, insurrectionists, looting, burning, rioting, rampaging, assaulting law enforcement, destroying buildings, looting businesses, shutting down traffic, burning car after car after car. My God, they're on motorcycles waving the Mexican flag as everything is being torched around them. And you're doing the whole, come on, let's go, mano a mano. Come on, come on, come on. I'm a tough guy. Come on, come on. He's playing politics. He thinks this is going to help him with his moonbad base to run in 2028. I'm telling you, this guy's sick. I don't know who's sicker, him or that commie Karen Bass. By the way, people don't know this about Karen Bass. She is a supporter of Fidel Castro. She is a revolutionary communist, like literally a revolutionary communist. She supported Che Guevara. She supported Fidel. She supported the Sandinistas in Nicaragua. I mean, this is who they have running their city. And they're both openly siding now with the insurrectionists and the violent looters and rioters. No, I'm sorry, man. Arrest them. If they're going to allow their state and their city to be burned to the ground, and they're going to stand there and side with violent protesters and insurrectionists against the very sovereignty and laws of the United States, then I'm sorry, no one's above the law. I mean, am I wrong? 617-266-6868. Okay, very, very quick. President Trump last night got off Air Force One. He was in Camp David. He met with his cabinet over the massive crisis now in Los Angeles. And he was asked point blank by reporters, how far are you willing to go? Listen now to President Trump saying, yes, we may have to send in the Marines. He's in contact with Pete Hegseth, Defense Secretary, and if things continue to escalate, and if the situation continues to worsen, and this massive civil unrest and insurrection continues to spread, he goes, we may have no choice, but on top of the 2,000 National Guard troops, we're going to send in the Marines and the U.S. military. Roll cut 102, Mike.
Even if you're not planning to invoke that Insurrection Act, you still plan to send troops?
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
What's the bar for sending Marines?
The bar is what I think it is. I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
On the table, sir. Secretary Hegseth.
We're going to see what we need. We'll send whatever we need to make sure there's law and order.
So it's faint in the background, but the reporter says, sir, Secretary Hegseth says he's ready to send in the Marines. And Trump says, well, we'll see, but we got to have law and order. So anyway, they're on high alert. They're at Camp Pendleton in Southern California. They could be there very quickly. So let me ask both of you, okay, all of you, forgive me, 2 questions. Okay, let me ask all of you 2 key questions. Number 1, should Democrat leaders now be arrested for fomenting or allowing this insurrection to take place? Should Newsom be arrested? Should Karen Bass be arrested? Should local political leaders, many of them in participating in these riots, I kid you not, should they be arrested? And should Trump send in the Marines? Not just the National Guard, but does he need to go heavy and send in the U.S. military all in 5, 10,000 troops. 617-266-6868. Dave in Malden. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Dave?
Jeff, I'll tell you straight. I look at this as almost being another Ferguson, because back then, nobody sent in the Marines back during Ferguson, and the whole place just went to shambles. Jeff, President Trump has every right to send in everybody that he needs to send in. And the whole thing is, Jeff, if anybody's going to be shot at the way they're tearing up the city over there, out there, Jeff, they're not shooting at Americans this time. These are illegals that came in from every damn country that Biden let in, and it does fall on Biden, and it does fall on George Soros, because you can guarantee he's probably supplying all the money for all this to be taken in, and that's going on out there. Jeff, this is a total disgrace to the United States of America.
Well, and, just to add to what you're saying, Dave, you're completely correct. They had the Palisades fires, the wildfires, just 6 months ago. And they haven't even recovered from that. So that's how incompetent Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom are. So you've got the Palisades, the wildfires. Now you've got this massive insurrection. This is a J7 insurrection. You've got J7. And remember, you've got the Olympics coming up. Los Angeles is going to be hosting the Olympics. Are you kidding me? Dave, we're starting to see the third worldization of our country, parts of our country. You can just clearly see that. It's lawless, it's chaos, havoc, it's anarchy. And I'm telling you, really, it's starting to look like Tijuana. Tijuana is coming here. Venezuela is coming here. You can clearly see it. And Trump senses it, and that's why he says, look, I can't allow this to stand. And Dave, this is what I find shocking, and I want to get your take, and frankly, everyone's take. Karen Bass is blaming ICE for the violence? That ICE has no business arresting criminal illegal aliens? Gavin Newsom is blaming ICE, saying the fact that you showed up in LA and tried to make arrests, that's what's frightening people? That's what's terrorizing people? The problem is ICE. The problem is Trump. The problem is the federal government. So they're effectively siding with the insurrectionists. Now, in my book, that's treason. At a bare minimum, it's obstruction. And it's aiding and abetting criminal behavior. So they're siding with the people who are torching, looting, burning, rampaging, and assaulting law enforcement. I think Homan is right. It's time to arrest Newsom. It's time to arrest Karen Bass and put an end to this farce. Dave, am I wrong?
No, Jeff, you're not wrong. Everybody who's supporting this situation, like you said, arrest every damn Democrat who wants this nonsense to be going on. This ain't right. And Donald Trump seen it a long time ago. During the day, he says, if you get Biden, you get El Salvador. And Jeff, we're getting everything under the sun. I saw the videos on the news last night before
Oh, I know. No, you're right. It's like out of a Hollywood movie. Tires burning, cars burning, buildings burning, highways occupied, rocks being thrown at law enforcement, Molotov cocktails. It's a war zone. RKO, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I know this is unbelievable. It is surreal, sort of like in the Twilight Zone, but this is where we are. Kamala Harris, remember, former senator from California, obviously vice president and presidential candidate, There was even talk about her running to succeed Gavin Newsom, Newsom out in California. Well, she has now issued a statement openly siding with the violent mob. She is condoning the riots, saying this is in reaction to fear and terror being generated by ICE and by Trump's deportation policies. And so she's saying if they want to burn cars, attack federal buildings, assault law enforcement officers, block for highways, and loot, and just essentially rampage on the streets, they have every right and every reason to. Trump and ICE are to blame. You can't make this up. You can't make it up. Okay, very quickly. This is from 617. You can text us 70470, 70470. This is from 617, really summing up the feelings of many of you. Jeff, where are the arrests? Newsom's charter is to protect the American people in his state, not those who are knowingly and willingly here illegally. It's treason, pure and simple. Our public servants are not above the law. This is so twisted. Arrest the defiant California governor and the Massachusetts governor while you're at it. Governor Healy. There is no equivocating about this. In caps, this is treason. I agree. I completely agree. Should Democratic leaders be arrested if they side with the rioters, or in the case of Newsom and Bass in particular, allow them to run wild and commit violent acts and an insurrection? I say lock them up, but that's me. What say you? 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Leslie in Boston. Thanks for holding, Leslie, and welcome.
Of what you do for us.
Thank you, Leslie.
Since 9/11, which I was in New York the week before that happened, since 9/11, this country has gone down the toilet, starting with George Bush. None of those 19 scumbags have ever suffered. They should have been put to death. We have no justice. We have no justice for Americans anymore. All the justice is for the criminals. As far as what's going on now, Trump should go after Biden. I don't care how sick he is. He should have gone after Hillary. What she did, I can't put a former president's wife in prison. Why not? They almost put him in prison. I love Trump, but he's got to go after these people. He's got to do what he wants to do.
Well, Leslie, I think now they forced his hand. I mean, I agree with you. Please don't get me wrong. I completely agree with you. Not going after Hillary was, I think, a big mistake. Big mistake. And you're right. You know, he said, look, this is the United States of America. How would it look like to the world if I went after and put behind bars, the wife of a former president and the leading presidential candidate for the Democratic Party? And, you're right. Well, they went after you. You're not the wife. You're the actual president and the leading presidential candidate yourself. They raided your home, guns drawn, shoot to kill orders. They went into your wife's bedroom. They went into your child's bedroom. I mean, I can go on and on. So they didn't care. So you're completely right. The way this is unfolding now, and this is what's different. The rhetoric is not tampering down at all. You got to see what these local Democrats are saying. They want more violence. They're not doing enough. They want to start torching and burning down the federal buildings. They want to take it harder against ICE, harder against federal law enforcement, harder against the National Guard. So they want to block more streets and more freeways and burn more cars. So everything now that's coming from the Democrats is they're just pouring more gasoline on the fire. And as I said, Boston today, I hope there's no violence. I don't want there to be violence. Huge anti-ICE rally planned today. And from what I'm hearing from my sources, very small police presence. If this is true, Healy and Wu want a riot to break out here. Washington now, big anti-ICE protests. Oregon, big anti-ICE protests. New York, huge anti-ICE rallies and demonstrations planned. So this is coordinated, Leslie. There's no question now. This is George Soros money. It is funded by Soros through these NGOs in collusion and cooperation, coordination with Democrats all over the country. It is a planned insurrection. And Trump realizes if he doesn't crack down and crack down hard, he's going to lose control over the country. So I think he's going to have no choice. He's going to have to go over he has to go after the people who are funding this, the people who are leading this, and the people who are allowing it, enabling it, and empowering it. And that means he's going to have to start putting Democrat politicians in jail. Look, you lead an insurrection, then you should be treated as an insurrectionist. Am I wrong, Leslie?
Not. And I don't care that Biden is sick. He deserves a painful death. I never wished anything bad on anybody, but that guy has aggravated me. This country, I have dual citizenship in another country now, in Italy, because if it gets any worse here, I am going to move. I can't stand the stress anymore. I'm 76 years old, and I don't need this, but I love this country. I mean, I'm just thinking about this, but Trump, send the National Guard, send the Marines, put Newsom and that other moron in jail. And if the people in Boston don't wake up, we're going to be next. I don't even go into Boston anymore because it's a cesspool.
Today I would avoid Boston. I agree with you. I would avoid Boston today. We'll see what happens. I hope it's peaceful, but they're asking for trouble. They're playing with fire. There's no question now. Thank you for that call, Leslie. I really appreciate it. Aaron in Idaho. Thanks for holding, Aaron, and welcome.
Kuhner country, I have a treat for all of you, and then I'll get to my point. I wrote a poem about California this weekend. Allow me to read it. California, the land of fruits and nuts, plus politicians who have no guts. California, the land of sun, schmoozing, and now stupidity. They care more for illegal immigrants than their own tax-paying citizenry. For the second time this year, L.A. is on fire and getting hotter. Let me guess, the fire hydrants still don't have any water. San Francisco, where it's legal for men in public to show their wangs, but it's illegal for the city or state to deport MS-13 gangs. California, the state is one big fail. They lost billions of dollars on a non-existent high-speed rail. California, gone are the days of the golden paradise. Now it's a safe haven for criminals to steal up to $900 worth of merchandise. California, the state with the progressive plan. Thank you so much for reminding me why I'm still a Republican. First, Democrats, I want to thank you so much for these riots these past weekends. Just when I was getting very, very angry with the Republican Party over the big, beautiful bill, thanks for reminding me why I'm not a Democrat. Thank you for showing us what America, all of America, not just L.A., what all of America would have looked like if Kamala Harris had won. And again, this is what Trump needed. After last week with him and Elon Musk, you just gifted him a resolution, and now Trump has learned his lesson from the George Floyd riots. He's not going to wait this time. He is going to send in the National Guard this time.
By the way, Aaron, that is an outstanding poem. I would publish it if I were you. That is a really well-written, witty, and perceptive and absolutely truthful poem. I mean, it's very well done, my friend. I'm not just saying that to stroke your ego. I'm telling you the truth. And to your other points, you are 1,000% correct. Look, just to talk, Elon and Trump on this issue are now friends again. Elon was the one who, it's a different picture. It's not the one with the guy on the motorbike going in circles, waving the Mexican flag as he's, going in circles around a burning car that they just torched. This is the one of a Mexican illegal, a vandal. He's shirtless, but he's got like a skull mask on. And he's standing on top of a torched car, waving a Mexican flag. And you can see behind him businesses burned, cars burned, other people on motorcycles, all waving the Mexican flag. It looks like, as I said, something out of Mad Max. It really is. It's like a Hollywood horror hellscape. And Elon just says, this can't go on. Like, you can't, if this keeps going on, we're done. Like, California's going into flames, the country's going to go up in flames. You have to restore law and order. You have to. So you're right. It's now brought Elon and Trump, at least temporarily, back together on this issue. The whole country, 80-20, is united behind Trump. There's no question. And you've got the Democrats again, defending MS-13 gangbangers, rioters, murderers, rapists, and insurrectionists. You can't make this up. You just can't make this up. So you're right, Aaron. The feud now, that's long gone. Seems like yesterday, like last year. Because now the country's recoiling in horror at what they're seeing on their TV screens every night. And the worst part, Aaron, I don't know if you've seen this, CNN says there's no riots. The media they're doing the whole George Floyd thing all over again. It's like deja vu. It's mostly peaceful. That's all they keep. Well, it's mostly peaceful. Pretty peaceful, mostly peaceful. Well, there's no such thing. Either it's peaceful or it's not peaceful. To me, it's the most absurd phrase I ever heard in my life. And if you have violence, as you do, then that's no longer a protest. That's a riot. And if you have a massive riot aimed against the federal government, as this is, that's what we call an insurrection or a rebellion. But again, they're doing the whole, there's no violence. So you got Cory Booker saying, what? There's no, what violence? There's no violence. MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS, New York Times, Washington Post. In other words, are you going to believe us or your lying eyes? Here, let me just give you a taste. You can't make this up. Here's Cory Booker. Listen to this, okay, on NBC. I am Spartacus. Roll cut 14. Mike.
The reality is we see peaceful protests launching in Los Angeles. And again, any violence against police officers should not be accepted. Local authorities can handle that. But remember, a lot of these peaceful protests are being generated because the President of the United States is sowing chaos and confusion by arresting people who are showing up for their immigration hearings.
What planet is this guy living on? I mean, that the way they lie to us now. Like, just look at the bloody screen. They're taking over or at least they're breaching federal buildings. You don't see them pelting all those cars, all those police officers with rocks and concrete and Molotov cocktails and glass bottles. You don't see that? You don't see the cars being torched, the highways being taken over. You don't see that? Like, are you blind? Now, this is Democrat Congresswoman Nanette Barragan. Oh, my God. I thought our moonbats here in Massachusetts were bad. Honestly, I thought ours are like a bunch of lunatics. Nothing beats California. Look, they listen. They're the moonbat champions of the world. I'm sorry. You just can't out moonbat a California moonbat. You can't do it. I'm telling you, you can't do it. Listen to this. These are all peaceful protests. And Trump is the one who's targeting peaceful protesters because he doesn't like peace. I swear to you. And this is a congresswoman. Roll cut 13. Mike.
What we've seen, let me tell you.
What are violent people doing?
Okay, so last night when I talked to the sheriff, he had told me the situation in Paramount was under control, that the people that were peacefully protest have left. The situation was now across the street into the Compton area, and this was the unruly folks, that Saturday night crowd. The people that were there to actually protest immigration were gone. We agree that if you're being violent, you should be arrested. You should be prosecuted. There is no disagreement on that. I think that's an effort that we can all say. But this is not what's happening. We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. The president is sending the National Guard because he doesn't like the scenes. He doesn't like the scenes of people peacefully protesting. And we know that California law enforcement, local law enforcement, they're there to protect the public. They're there to protect and have public safety. And that's what they're there to do.
Oh, my God. Seriously? Oh, my God. The city is going up in smoke. They're riding around on bikes waving Mexican flags, destroying, burning, torching, looting everything in sight. They're attacking federal buildings. The LAPD chief says, quote, "We're overwhelmed. They're throwing commercial-grade fireworks. We're being burned alive." They're throwing rocks at police officers, bricks, pieces of concrete, Molotov cocktails. And this is all peaceful protesting. It's so peaceful. Trump hates the peace. He hates it that it's so peaceful. That's why he has to send in the National Guard. Oh, my God, are these people stupid? I mean, even Liz Warren is not that stupid. Even Ed Markey, I'm telling you. Even Michelle Wu is not that stupid. Holy mackerel. And you see the media. It's all peaceful. Oh, what's Trump talking about? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Now you know why the Democrats are finished. Now you know why nobody believes the corrupt, lying, fake news media. What media? It's just propaganda. And this is embarrassing. It's like Baghdad Bob. I'm serious. No, the Americans aren't winning the war. What are you talking about? They're 2 blocks away from the presidential palace, for God's sake. They're about to capture Saddam. We're winning the war. We're winning the war. It's the same thing. These people are pathetic, and they're coddling violent, illegal alien criminals. And I want to ask all of you, what does it say about the Democrats that they can't condemn what is clearly violence and what is clearly rioting and a full-blown insurrection? And not only that they haven't, have you noticed not one Democrat has condemned it? Not one. Not one. Not in California, not across the country, not one. And in fact, they side with the looters and the rioters and the insurrectionists. And I'm the extremist. I swear to you, according to these lyrics, Kuhner, you got to get him off the air. He's crazy. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Bill in Medfield. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
How you doing, Jeff?
Good. Hey, I'm just happy I'm not in L.A., Bill.
Okay, here's the story. I lived here all my life. I think I told you I was born in Canada, and I didn't have the proper paperwork, so
yes.
I'm an illegal immigrant.
In theory, yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to be 68. I live in poverty where I live. I still have my own small landscape business, so I'm not allowed health insurance. I'm not allowed to get my Social Security. I don't get no welfare, benefit, aids, or anything. We got to give it to the lowlifes that come running through the woods in the middle of the night, and from the Congo, Ecuador, El Salvador. We got to give them all the money. And the thing, I really voted for Trump twice now. I really love Donald Trump, but I mean, he's not fighting hard enough. They all have to be taken down because they want to take down America. This is what this is about. They want to destroy America and the Trump presidency where it's a giant
bingo. Bill, that's what this is. No, you're right. They're making their move now. They want to tear this country down, and they want to tear down Trump's presidency, and this is it. They're making their move. For Trump, if you're listening, it's now or never. WRKO, Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare, baby. Okay, so you want to listen to the piece? Here's some of the piece. So here's just a montage. These are the protest speakers, the militants, who are egging the crowd on Friday night, Saturday night, especially Sunday night. It just got, almost every night, it got worse and worse and worse. Roll cut 31, Mike.
Free them all! Free them all! Free them all! Because an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us! And Los Angeles does not back down for that kind of fight!
Continue fighting until we reconstruct every single institution from the ground up so that we can grant full amnesty for all immigrants. Demand full compensation for all of the victims of this criminal injustice system.
What's going to change this is organizing, and not just any type of organizing, militant organizing.
There you go. Now, that's when they were outside one of the big detention facilities, federal buildings, where they were detaining and holding hundreds and hundreds of criminal illegal aliens. People convicted of molesting children. One of them was a rapist. Others were fentanyl drug dealers. Others were gangbangers. And they're outside the federal building saying we're going to free every single one of them. An injustice on one is an injustice on all. An arrest of one is an arrest of all. And they're chanting, no justice, no peace. So they're openly siding with criminal scum. There's no other way to put it. Vile criminal elements. Now, listen to protesters. This is a brand new Jeep, by the way. Perhaps a beautiful brand new Jeep. Who it belongs to, I don't know. But it's gone. I mean, it's gone. They're lighting it on fire. Roll in the name, as you can tell, of a Marxist communist revolution. A full amnesty for every illegal alien, abolish ICE, abolish the police, abolish the criminal justice system. Viva la revolución! Roll cut 32, Mike.
What the?
And as the thing burns, they start spraying graffiti. Kill ICE, F ICE, F America. There you go. There you go. And that's who the Democrats are defending. There you go. And it's peace. This is peaceful. There was no problem until Donald Trump showed up. 617-266-6868. Tom in Ohio. Thanks for holding, Tom, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you today?
Well, I have to say it. I'm just happy I'm not in L.A. right now.
Well, Jeff, the thing about Los Angeles is, Jeff, it's a delicate balance out there. I mean, in the words of, and you would remember this, in the words of Stephanie Rawlins Blake, the former mayor of Baltimore during the Freddie Gray, on the courthouse steps when the media asked her, the activist media said, well, what about the people that are destroying? Well, it's a delicate balance because we need to respect the rights of the protesters and protect them. And we also have to allow those that want to destroy their space, too. Remember that, Jeff?
Yes, I remember that very clearly.
Right. And so that kind of Democratic leadership moves from the mayor of Baltimore to the secretary of the DNC. And I think she even served at the Department of Labor in Joey's administration. So that was all during the Dear Leader. So when you have that kind of mentality, these Democratic-controlled cities, I wouldn't be surprised if a CHAZ autonomous zone is created in Los Angeles.
Oh, I think it's coming. Oh, I think
yeah, that's what I mean.
Right, Tom. No, it's coming. I agree with you. I mean, well, Antifa, there's photos and posters and pictures everywhere of Antifa symbols, but they're openly calling this is an Antifa operation in many ways. And they're calling now for the overthrow of the American government, the overthrow of ICE, and they want to create, essentially, as you put it, an autonomous zone all across L.A. And apparently Seattle and Portland are going to have two massive rallies, anti-ICE, pro-criminal rallies today. So this thing is like a wildfire. It's just going to keep spreading and spreading and spreading. That's why I think Trump realizes if I don't go hard and heavy now, this thing could be all over the country before you know it. Tom, do you support Trump sending in the National Guard? And do you think he should send in the Marines?
Not 100%, but 1,000, Jeff. And I think that Homan ought to go. They ought to arrest Gavin Newsom. You know what? He is goading them on. He's drawing his line in the sand. Do it. Go ahead and do it. Get Bass and get him. You know, the fact of the matter remains, he's in denial, Gavin Newsom is, and quite frankly, he's trying to, as you had indicated, or some of your callers, he's trying to bolster his position for re-election and as governor, if not catapult himself as the anti-Trump TDS in 2028. I stood against Donald Trump and I won. No, take the guy down.
Tom, I got to ask you, Democrats watch TV. They see the images. They see the guys on the motorbikes. They see the Mexican flags. They see the burning. They see the looting. They see the cars and the Jeeps on fire. They see the police being assaulted. Aren't they disgusted by this? Like, don't they want to see their leaders stand up to this?
No, Jeff, they don't, because you know what it is? It's a show of compassion.
You know, Tom, I wish I could disagree with you, but I can't. They're just doing what their voters want them to do, which is embrace the mob, embrace the violence. 617-266-6868. More with your calls next. 3 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868 is the number. This is a really, really good text from 508. Jeff, to say that a protest is quote-unquote mostly peaceful is like saying a woman is quote-unquote mostly pregnant. It's true. It's completely true. I mean, look, a protest by definition is either peaceful or it's not. And if it's not peaceful, it's no longer a protest. It's then either a riot or if it really gets big, it's an insurrection. So this idea, it's mostly peaceful. They just made that up. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Now, and it's clearly, you just watch the screen. Hell, the police are telling you this thing is an insurrection. The police are telling you. I don't want to laugh. Either you laugh or you cry, but you have these idiot Democrats in the media. It's all peaceful. And the police are like, we're overwhelmed. We're in trouble. We need help. They're lighting our guys on fire, for God's sake. So, L.A. is burning, and they're telling us there's nothing to see here. Now, what we're watching, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, and this is the key now, it's an insurrection. And in particular, it's an insurrection against federal authority. That's what's happening right now in Los Angeles. And you have to ask yourself, whenever you're confronted or faced with a well-organized, well-funded riot, the most important question is, follow the money. Who's behind it? Now, as I pointed out on X last night, and I want to repeat it, they're not completely funding it, but one of the major pieces, one of the major players behind this insurrection in L.A. is a non-profit. It's an NGO, a non-governmental organization, and it's called the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, or CHIRLA. CHIRLA. You can look it up. And here, I'm just looking at one of the posters that they put up everywhere in L.A. and flyers that they were handing out. Immigration Fight Back. This is what it reads. It's in blue, it's in purple and yellow. I have to say, it's a very professional flyer. It's got nice, I'm just telling you that this is not some low-budget, dinky affair. This is well-financed, well-funded, very well-organized. It's got purple, yellow colors. It's appealing to the eye. It's a well-done pamphlet or a well-done flyer or a poster. And look, it's well put together. It's Immigration Fight Back. Call to action, turn out today. ICE is conducting a series of raids in the Los Angeles area. Many workers were arrested outside local businesses. We're fighting back. Please join and please show up. And downtown at the LA Federal Building, that's where they were detaining the illegals. And it gives the street and everything. And so they're basically saying they're the ones who are the key driving force behind this. Now, you may say, Jeff. Okay, some group I never heard of, CHIRLA. What's so important about it? This is the mind bender. Get ready for this. This is a taxpayer-funded insurrection. Let me repeat that. This is a taxpayer-funded insurrection. This group, CHIRLA, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, just in 2023 alone, under under Biden, got nearly $34 million. That's just 1 year. $34 million in government funding and government revenue. Most of it from the state of California, but no, they did get money from the Department of Homeland Security. And apparently they're still getting money to this day. I think this is going to end now with Kristi Noem, obviously. But to this day, they are still getting government grants, taxpayer funding, from the Department of Homeland Security. In other words, we, the taxpayers, we're funding the very riots and the very looting and the very insurrection and rebellion that's taking place in Los Angeles. Now, you have to ask yourself, why would either the federal government or the state of California fund an organization, an open borders, pro-criminal, pro-illegal alien organization that leads an insurrection? Why? Because as many conservatives are rightly pointing out on social media, and I agree with them, because anti-Americanism has now become the official ideology of the United States. And you see this now, whether it be in education, whether it be in universities, whether it be in sanctuary cities. The Democratic Party continues to defend human traffickers, gangbangers, pedophiles, drug dealers. And this is now their position. It has been under Biden. It hasn't changed. That they all, these dangerous criminals, must be allowed to come into our country and violate our immigration laws. And once they come in, once they sneak in, they must be allowed to stay forever. This is now what the Trump second term has clearly unmasked. It's not about the children or separating families or the single mom or the hardworking dad. No. Look how they fight for Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who, by the way, is coming back, but that's another story. Look in Boston, in Minneapolis, in L.A., I can go in Chicago. They are obstructing and blocking ICE from arresting rapists, murderers, Tren de Aragua, child sex predators, drug dealers, human traffickers, fentanyl traffickers. So you have to ask yourself, why? Why would the Democrats, in state after state and at the national level, why would they take such a bizarre, frankly extreme, frankly insane, anti-American position? And I'm sorry, as I said to Grace this weekend, I think the evidence now is clear. The writing's on the wall. There's no denying it. It's because they hate our country. You know, many of us thought that Biden opened up the border and he flooded our country with illegals, invaders. And that was to get votes and cheap labor and bolster the census so Democrats get more representation in Congress, and that bringing in all of these violent, dangerous criminals was an inadvertent consequence. No. They wanted to bring in these very dangerous criminals and gangbangers and terrorists into our country because they hate our country and they want to destroy our country. And this is what you're now seeing in Los Angeles. And our taxpayer money is funding one of the big groups that's behind this entire riot. Die in L.A. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, listen now to President Donald J. Trump. He got off Air Force One. This was last night. And he understands very clearly now that his presidency is on the line. In some ways, the future of the country is on the line. Who will prevail? The illegals, the insurrectionists and their enablers, or Trump, law and order, and America? Listen now to Trump saying, make no mistake about it, if you even spit on the National Guard or our law enforcement, I'm giving them the orders arrest him on the spot. Roll cut 103, Mike.
See those protests spreading to other cities, Chicago, New York, for example, in the next few days?
Yes, we're going to be watching it very closely. And when they spit at people, they spit. That's their new thing. They spit and worse. You know what they throw at them, right? And when that happens, I have a little statement. They say, they spit, we hit. And I told them, nobody's going to spit on our police officers. Nobody's going to spit on our military, which they do as a common thing. They get up to them this far away, and then they start spitting in their face. That happens, they get hit very hard.
So let me ask you this. Here's another quick log on the fire. Trump says if they continue, and they're doing a lot worse, believe me. They're pelting them with rocks and bricks and concrete and glass bottles and Molotov cocktails and you name it, projectiles of every kind. They're also dousing them with urine. They throw plastic bottles full of urine, and they throw it on them, and the police have urine all over them. But Trump is saying, and it's true, they are spitting on him constantly, nonstop, right to their face. Trump says, if they spit, we hit. If they continue to spit on law enforcement, if they continue to spit on the National Guard and our troops, I'm giving them the order, take out the batons, start whacking and arresting. Do you agree? 617-266-6868. Does the president now have to get much tougher with these rioters, violent protesters, and insurrectionists? I say yes. What say you? 617-266-6868. Hank in the state of Washington. Thanks for holding, Hank, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. They talk a lot about Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom, but somebody that shouldn't get a pass on this either is Jim McDonnell, the chief of LAPD. I retired out of LAPD a year ago, and I was there for the DNC riots and the George Floyd riots and all the riots we've had in between. And LAPD command staff has become so weak and so feckless that everyone's worried about their next promotion or just keeping their job. And their motto needs to be changed from protect and serve to we will not be the story, because they push over and over and over that LAPD will not be the story. And I feel like that comes from, we had a Mayday get out of hand several years ago, and ever since then we got sued, and everyone's terrified to do their job. Nobody will make a decision from captain on above, and it's just the inability to take action is what emboldens these people and allows it to get out of control. And then they want to try and put the genie back in the bottle, and you can't do it. And Jim McDonnell, shame on him. He will never speak out against Bass. He's chasing the pension. He went from the sheriff he was LAPD, went to the sheriff, then became the chief of Long Beach. Now he's back to being the chief of LAPD. And I think this is all about just protecting the pension and just and pushing through and not taking any kind of action or speaking out against the chief. And I'm wondering how long it's going to be before the chief throws him under the bus, just like she did the fire chief for the fires and everything else. It's just, I don't know what's happened, but LAP has lost their way. And I don't know if there's a way they can do it. It pains me to say this because the rank and file of the department are caught in the crossfire. It's almost like being caught in, a divorce, where the kids are just like, well, we don't know what to do. And the cops want to take charge, and it's hot out there. They're in the riot gear. They're in orders to probably stand down or not get involved. And it's awful. It's just terrible. But this is they're losing their way. So,
Hank, I'm just curious, and this is a very interesting call. Hank, as someone who used to work in LAPD, as a former law enforcement officer, how do you feel now about Trump sending in the National Guard and maybe even the possibility of U.S. Marines? The argument that Karen Bass is making, the argument that Newsom is making, the argument that the media is making is that the very LAPD that you're talking about is more than equipped, more than capable of handling these rioters and these violent protesters. That you don't need the National Guard, you don't need the military, that Trump jumped the gun, and that just let the LAPD handle this. They're the professionals. They could quell this unrest. What say you?
It absolutely needs to happen. In fact, we had a group take over Grant Park, and it was our area, LAPD, and they would not act, and then finally the sheriff's department said we had enough. The sheriff's department took control, went in there without LAPD's coordination, took care of the problem, and it was over and done. And so this absolutely needs to happen. They need to go in there and just handle business. And the thing is I don't know how they could do it, but I'd like to, and it pains me to say this because, like I say, the poor officers within the department would have to deal with the fallout, but there almost needs to be some way where they can put LAPD and all these other sanctuary police departments under some kind of a federal consent decree and just take these departments back. They need to be sued and have a judge say, and I understand it's usually for civil rights violations and things like that, but there's got to be some way where they're like, your inability to enforce the law and to, create these so-called sanctuary cities and whatnot, there's got to be some way that they got to be forced under some kind of consent decree where the feds can just have oversight over this because they shouldn't be allowed to happen.
Oh, I agree. I really agree. Hank, since I have you, one last question. And if I'm getting too personal, please tell me. There's all these videos, all of these pictures. It's everywhere. It's undeniable. You have so many of these insurrectionists, these violent rioters, wearing skull masks, waving the Mexican flag, others waving the Palestinian, the Hamas flag. More Mexican flags than Palestinian flags, but there's both. And they're also burning the American flag. So you got the American flag being burned everywhere. You've got the Mexican flag, and they're with inscribed on it, Viva Mexico. So you've got the Mexican flag and the Palestinian flags are everywhere in these protests. Are we watching an insurrection? Is this what's really happening now in L.A.?
And sadly, this is not just in and yes, you are. It's kind of a complex answer. This goes way back to Obama's legacy, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, all this. This is all your coward pivot strategy to overwhelm the system because it's Obama's legacy to knock this country down a notch and to destroy. He hates this country, and this all started with them. And this is just a carryover, and the auto pen and whoever was carrying over that legacy. But the thing is you'll have just on a regular weekend, you have people from the inner city just taking over the freeways with quads and mini bikes and dirt bikes and things like that. You'll have these protests erupt anywhere. It's a very animalistic lifestyle down there. It's whether the Lakers win a championship or the Dodgers go to the World Series or whatever reason. If they have a reason to riot and whatever, people will come from all over because they see the chaos. They want to sow more chaos. And a lot of times they don't even know what it's over. They just see it and they just want to sow it because it's a very animalistic mentality. We have street takeovers constantly where they're coming in with their cars and just doing donuts in the streets, and then everyone's armed. There's shootings like crazy. And so you're seeing kind of this morph of where, you do have these anti-ICE, anti-immigration, but also met with the, animalistic mentality of just Los Angeles. But I think even Claudia Sheinbaum now is starting to basically push, for more of this. And I think I read some articles, and I haven't been able to confirm if it's true or not, but I think she's trying to, push this crowd to create more chaos. So
that's the president of Mexico, Hank, just for people who are listening. No, there's no question now that Mexico is interfering in our internal affairs. There's no question. Hank, dynamite call. Hank, thank you very much for that call. It's the third worldization of America. When he's describing, how animalistic it is, and they riot for no reason. The Lakers win, the Dodgers win, it doesn't matter who wins. There's a concert, whatever. There they are with the donuts, The cars, the motorcycles, shooting guns in the air, rioting, looting, burning. It's a third world hellscape. It's like Tijuana, Mexico. It's coming here. That's all it is. They're just pushing Mexico, El Norte, into the north. That's all that's happening. Thank you, Hank. 617-266-6868. Annie in Chelsea. Thanks for holding, Annie, and welcome.
Hello.
Annie.
Greetings from the sanctuary city of Chelsea, located in the country of America. Jeff, I love you in a non-sexual way. Jeff, is this what our veterans fought for? What country can you just walk right in and get everything for free? I mean, I can't even get food stamps. I can't even get proper health care, and I'm paying federal taxes on my pension. I think I'm better off being an illegal. They get more privileges than an American does. A couple of weeks ago, Jeff, I went up to the soldiers' home, and they have this setup up there is like the Mass General. They have tunnels that go from building to building. Well, now those tunnels are shut down because of the illegals that are living up there. So now these poor veterans in bad weather, in order for them to get from building to building, they have to walk outside because they had to shut down their tunnels. I don't know, Jeff. This country is really going downhill, and I just feel bad for the veterans. And up the soldiers' home on their buses, their slogan is "Veterans First."
Yeah, it should be illegals first. I mean, really, that's what they've done to our country. And, the only thing I disagree with you, Annie, and I agree with you on 99.9999% of what you just said. You said, the country's really going downhill and we're really betraying the veterans, which is true, but they're betraying all of us. They're betraying you. They're betraying me. They're betraying this whole audience. They're betraying every American, every citizen, every taxpayer, you name it, across the board. And now you've got, this is a full-blown insurrection, January 7, J7, happening right in front of our eyes. And they're doing it in the name of protecting the most violent, criminal, illegal aliens on the planet. That's just what I just can't wrap my mind around that. So, again, I don't want to repeat myself, but it's obvious they hate America. And they brought in all these illegals to destroy America. And my God, now they're starting to do some serious destruction. Oh, let me tell you, boy, LA is becoming Tijuana really fast. It's becoming Mexico really fast. 617. Thank you for that call, Annie. 617-266-6868. Really, I got to ask all of you. You look at now these images of the last 3 days. And if I didn't say to you, it's LA. Okay, I just said, just watch these images. Watch how many Mexican flags there are. And you see what's happening. I'd say, is it Mexico or America? You'd say, well, no, this is Mexico. I don't know, this is Acapulco, this is Tijuana, this is, we're at Mexico City, this is what they do down there. This is, yeah, they riot, of course. Yeah, they loot. Yeah, they burn. Yeah, that's what they do. They destroy. Yeah, they block freeways. Yeah, they beat the hell out of police. Yeah, they throw Molotov cocktails. Yeah, they do donuts around burning cars, motorcycles, and they do donuts. And the car is burning, and they're waving the Mexican flag. Yeah, these are the cartels. Yeah, we own this place. Yeah. You would say that this is Mexico. And I go, no, this is California. What? The Golden State? Yep. Physically, one of the most beautiful places on God's green earth. Southern California in particular, it is gorgeous. The weather, the ocean, the topography, I could go on and on. I don't want to sound like a travel brochure. I'm telling you, it is gorgeous. It's got wine. It's got fruits. It's got agriculture. How the hell do you turn such a beautiful piece of real estate, such a beautiful state, how do you run it into the ground and turn it into a third world dump? You know, as Trump would say, a crap hole. Can't say the real word. How do you do it? And in 25 years. To do it so fast. It's not even like you can say, well, over 100 years, over 200 years. No. All the way until the 80s and 90s, California was beautiful. Remember, this thing was still Reagan country in those days. And then, wow, within 25 years, it's an instant northern Mexico. How the hell do you do it? Well, they did it. 617-266-6868. Bob in Plymouth. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call. You know, not why I called, but a little while ago you upset me with something you said about Mayor Wu, Elizabeth Warren, and Ed Markey not being stupid. For the amount of education they've had, they sure do act stupid, but that's not why I called. You know, when they raided Mar-a-Lago, those FBI agents had orders, shoot to kill. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, why can't, if like you said earlier, they're taking hammers and they're chopping big chunks of rock off of pillars, shoot one. Shoot one in the leg. Don't try to kill them. Shoot a couple of them in the leg. See how quick this crap stops. I'm telling you. This is the only way you're going to stop these people. You can't negotiate with them. You can't stop them with tear gas. It doesn't seem to work. But you got to be more strong with this thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
Well, no, look, Bob, it's so obvious now. We knew it during Biden. How do I say this? You know, when you're kind of facing the onslaught of a storm, right? You're just trying to get through the storm. So that's what the Biden years were like for me, for you, for this audience. We were being inundated. The illegals kept coming and coming. The border was open. And so we knew this was happening. But now that Trump won by the grace of God and he's sealed the border, the whole border invasion has now been reduced to a trickle. So now they're all in. They've all come in under Biden, but we've at least closed the border. And now we're starting to see the reaction. So we have a bit of a clearer picture. I think it's obvious, Bob, why so many young military-aged men were allowed to pour in, even encouraged to come in. You look at most of these protesters. Yes, there are some women, no question. But the overwhelming majority are young men. And, you know, they got muscles. I mean, these guys are fit. They're strong. They're fit. They're fast. They're very aggressive. They're very bold. They're not afraid of the police, none whatsoever. It's almost like a form of guerrilla warfare. There's a lot of this, I'm telling you, it's like the Palestinian Intifada. They covered their faces, and the way these Hamas, you know, they would throw rocks at Israeli soldiers, smash them in the head, drop bricks on them, throw Molotov cocktails, just attack in numbers, sow chaos, sow division, play to the cameras, and just keep, you know, it's like almost like urban guerrilla warfare. So they deliberately let in young military-aged men. And they are not afraid to confront the police. And they want to kill cops. They want to kill ICE. They want to kill cops. They want to kill America. They openly say it, death to America. And they see themselves as a conquering army. This is the part the media, look the photos. Don't take my word for it. See the interviews. By the way, it's all Spanish. None of them speak any English. Very few. And they say, this is la Reconquista. We are reconquering land that was taken from Mexico. Now, it was given to us, sold to us by Mexico. It's ours. But it doesn't matter. They don't care. And just so that you think, it's not just California. They want Texas. They want Arizona. They want New Mexico. They want Utah. They want Colorado. They want the whole thing. They want Nevada. They want the entire Southwest back, and they're not going to stop. So they're openly calling for the reconquest, la Reconquista, the reconquest of large chunks of the United States. And for them, California is their epicenter. So they're like saying, to hell with ICE. You're going to deport us? No. We deport you. We've been driving Americans out of California now for 25 years. So they're telling Trump, they're telling ICE, they're telling the feds, this is no longer your country. This is an insurrection against the laws and sovereignty of the United States. That's why the military must move in now. On the great WRKO, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, some big breaking news for all of you. So please, you need to hear this. And this is exactly what I predicted a couple hours ago. The Democrats now are clearly expanding and escalating their war, and it's now almost becoming a hot war between sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, and President Trump, ICE, and the United States of America. One of the leading liberals in the Senate, Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, has now come out in the wake of the riots in L.A., demanding, his words, nationwide anti-ICE protests. He is now telling Democrats, liberals, progressives, quote, we are going to rise to this moment by being out there on the streets. He wants anti-ICE protests every major city, every state across the entire country. Furthermore, it is now being reported by local media, it is a huge scandal, that Karen Bass, that crazy, really a communist mayor, the crazy moonbat mayor of Los Angeles, ordered the LAPD to initially stand down. She directly interfered in the operations of the Los Angeles Police Department when that federal building was under attack, when ICE agents were being assaulted, when they were being pelted with rocks and bricks, when their vehicles were being set on fire, when many of their agents were facing Molotov cocktails being thrown at them, and 800 protesters surrounded the building and stormed the first layer of defense. They were begging for backup, saying we're overwhelmed, we're going to have to use tear gas, rubber bullets, but there are too many people in the crowd. She told the LAPD, stand down, don't go and help. Don't go and help. And that's what led to even much more damage, the riots and the insurrection spreading, and sent many of these ICE agents to the hospital. It got so bad, the FBI sent in backup, DHS sent in backup. And only then, when the city was on fire, did she finally allow the LAPD to come in, put on riot gear, and try to do something with this now massive civil unrest on their hands. Karen Bass needs to be arrested. I'm sorry, she needs to be arrested. This woman is sick and evil. She's completely backing the protesters. Now, furthermore, the media is going apoplectic that Trump is now going to be sending in the U.S. military, especially from Camp Pendleton. Don't let the media manipulate or gaslight you. In the L.A. riots of 1992, President George W. Bush mobilized the National Guard, sent in the U.S. Army and the U.S. Marines to stop violent rioters from destroying and wrecking Los Angeles. So, don't act, the media is acting like this is unprecedented. This is fascism. It's a dictatorship. No. It's been done repeatedly for hundreds of years throughout our country. It was done by Bush in 1992. Don't worry. It'll be done again. God willing. Maxine Waters, she tried to break into one of the federal buildings. As the riots are unfolding, this nutbag, this whack job, tried to break into one of the federal buildings, and the guard slammed the door in her face. She has now given an interview. Listen to this. She is now demanding that the United States give citizenship to all of the illegal rioters in Los Angeles. She's saying instead of sending in ICE and instead of deporting, and again, remember, these rioters are criminals. The people that ICE was arresting were convicted child molesters, gangbangers, drug dealers. One was an individual charged with rape. And she wants to give all of them and the rioters full amnesty, full citizenship. She's just exposed the game plan. This is their strategy now. So much chaos, mayhem, violence, anarchy, that you don't just destroy Trump's presidency, but you force the country. In other words, if you don't want your cities to burn, then give them full amnesty. Give them full amnesty. Okay, here it is. 14 cities. I talked about Boston today. 14 cities now are facing, today are going to have massive anti-ICE protests. They are threatening to riot. They're threatening to replicate and repeat what they've done in L.A., but they want to spread it to Portland, to Seattle, to Chicago, to New York, here in Boston. Big rally planned for today. And so we'll see. But this is now the plan. So they are now, they're not backing down. They're now surging in their rebellion and insurrection against the federal government and against federal authority. Let me say one last thing, and I want to go to the phone lines. I know it's a lot of information, but it's breaking fast. Rand Paul. Now, this was his reaction to the insurrectionists in Los Angeles attacking ICE officers and waving foreign flags. He says we should cut the immigration enforcement funding in Trump's big, beautiful bill in half. In half. It has about $150 billion in there for all of the mass deportations that we're going to need. I think, by the way, these riots are now going to make Trump's bill pass easily in the Senate and in the House. Just on the border and the deportations and the immigration enforcement alone. But that little weasel, Rand Paul, says to cut it in half. He's a weasel. 266-6868 is the number. All right, no one's going to tell me this isn't planned. I mean, it's planned, it's coordinated, it's well-funded, and the Democrats are all over this. So 14 protests, anti-ICE protests today. You got Chris Murphy now, leading Democrat senator, saying they want protests in every street of every city in America to stand against ICE in the wake of these L.A. riots, they're not putting water on the fire. They're dousing it with gasoline. They're just pouring gas on the fire now. If I'm Trump, send in the military. This has got to stop now. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Russ in Boston. Thanks for holding, Russ, and welcome.
Party is the devil's right hand, the devil's right hand, the devil's right hand. The Democratic Party is the devil's right hand, the devil's right hand, the devil's right hand. Jeff, the Democratic Party created this chaos. The Democratic Party encourages this chaos. The Democratic Party could care less about public safety, whether it's the average person or a police officer or someone in the military. They could care less about public safety. And let's face it, the mission of the rotten Democratic Party, it's part of the old communist playbook, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the best way to put down a riot is to shoot the people with rock salt. They will never forget the pain of getting shot with rock salt, and they will never riot again. And there's no question, all these illegal aliens that are getting arrested for rioting must be deported ASAP, okay? And I'll tell you, Jeff, and I say this over and over again, I'm so sick and tired of the morons here in Massachusetts that I have to share this great state with, and it's so politically stupid.
Russ, do you think Trump is going to pull the proverbial trigger? I know he's sending in the National Guard, but is he going to send in the Marines?
Whatever's necessary. He's going to put down this rebellion. There's no, this cannot be allowed to stand, Jeff, okay? Really, it is unbelievable, Jeff. I'll tell you, if you asked me 50 years ago if I thought this would ever reach this stage here in the United States, I'd say you're crazy. You're out of your mind. Can't happen, okay? It is unbelievable how many. Remember one thing, the Democratic Party would be nowhere if it didn't have the scumbags in the media that support them, they lie for them, and everything else. They are no effing good. None of the left-stream media is any good. And I've hated them for 50 years. I've hated them, Jeff. And I have no compassion whatsoever, for any of them that die. They are awful. They are the biggest enemy in the United States of America, along with the Democratic Party.
They're the enemy of the people. And as Trump said, they really are. They're the enemy of the people. Russ, dynamite as always. Thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. Mike, Maestro Mike, who do you want me to go to next, Mike? Gardner in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Gardner, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for taking the call. And just wanted to touch base with you because, this is one of these instances where it's so intense and I see so much happening on the news, but I do want to bring up there are a couple things where as much as I dislike Gavin Newsom and think he's just an absolutely criminal element, he's actually on pretty strong constitutional footing because the only thing that allows the federal government to go into a state is actually in Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. And that is the state legislature or the governor, if the legislature is out of session, have to request that the federal troops come in to, as the Constitution says, protect their constitutional form of government or suppress violence. It's right there. And so this is one of those learning instances where as much as people see the violence that's going on there, I hope I can remind them to just, I might not be able to convince them, but at least they could look at the Constitution and see that. Of all things, Gavin Newsom, actually, he's not doing it. He's not directly citing it, but Greg Abbott did many years ago because he was upset that the federal government wasn't handling things under Biden. So he actually cited Article 4, Section 4, and Ron DeSantis also did so because they were requesting help on the immigration issue. So now we have the flip side of it.
Well, let me ask you this, Gardner. Are you telling me with a straight face that as we're faced with a massive insurrection, a major American city now under siege, freeways blocked, streets barricaded, law enforcement officers beaten, assaulted, rocks, stones, bricks, Molotov cocktails thrown at them, entire areas no-go zones, the federal government being denied the ability to deport illegal aliens, criminal illegal aliens, federal law enforcement being obstructed, with a sanctuary city mayor and a sanctuary city governor who are openly defying federal authority, that the President of the United States is supposed to sit back and say, let L.A. burn, let California burn, let my citizens get shot, let their cars be lit on fire, literally, let this insurrection go on and on and on. I mean, are you telling me this with a straight face? In other words, let my country devolve into a third world hellhole racked by chaos and anarchy. That the Constitution says, yeah, let America become Venezuela. Is that what you're telling me, Gardner?
If people want to go by the rules of the Constitution, they have to. That's the way it works. I can't tell you anything else except what is in the Constitution.
No, there's the Insurrection Act. I mean, I have no idea where you always come up, you call, and you say there's only this provision. That's not true. The Insurrection Act has been used many times. I just cited once, for example, George H.W. Bush in 1992. There was a full-blown riot in Los Angeles. People were getting killed. People were being slaughtered on the streets. I mean, I'm sure you remember that, where you had these out-of-control rioters literally throwing bricks and smashing people's heads in, and a whole neighborhood's going up in smoke. And the governor was impotent. The mayor was impotent. George Bush invoked the Insurrection Act, and he sent in the military. And thank the Lord he did, because there would have been hundreds, if not thousands, of people dead. So the Insurrection Act has been used many times before. I mean, Gardner, I don't understand this. So the governor of California can openly defy the law, can openly defy, really, have an insurrection against federal authority, and then allow illegal alien criminals, non-citizens, to rampage on his streets, threatening citizens and federal law enforcement. And the president and the American people are just supposed to sit back, twiddle their thumbs, and say, well, you know, what can you do? That's just life. Like, are you seriously arguing this, Gardner?
What I'm doing is citing the Constitution, and you're citing a statute which is subordinate to the Constitution. The Constitution has to be amended if people are going to operate by the Constitution. That's all I'm saying. So you're saying
now that the Insurrection Act... The Insurrection Act is now unconstitutional? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
You can compare the Insurrection Act to the wording of the Constitution and decide for yourself. Of course, there's going to be Supreme Court precedent, but I'm just telling you what's in the Constitution. It's a learning opportunity for people to look at it. I'm not. This is a learning
opportunity. L.A. is going up in smoke. Your country's being invaded. And you're telling me this is a, quote, learning opportunity. I got news for you. The founding fathers didn't care for seditionists. They didn't care for insurrectionists. And they never would have allowed a border invasion to take place. So honestly, Gardner, sometimes I ask myself, I don't know what planet you're living on, my friend. But it's not planet Earth. But thank you for the call. More with your calls. Next, 49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. Okay, this has been my fear the whole weekend. And now it's all over social media. There are videos being posted left, right, and center. And this is where I fear it may be headed. I hope it doesn't. I pray it doesn't. Do you remember Compton, L.A.? This is where a lot of this is happening. This used to be, remember the Bloods and the Crips? Like, these black gangs, and they would fight amongst themselves. Well, that's so 30 years ago, because all the illegals moved in and displaced all the African Americans from the neighborhood. And so the Bloods and the Crips have been pushed over, to other areas, pushed out to other neighborhoods. Well, I guess the sons and daughters, what do you want to call them? The successors to the Bloods and the Crips, they're now doing videos saying that if the federal government is not going to drop the military hammer, they are not going to see their city go up in smoke. And so you've got gangs, African-American black gangs, the Bloods and the Crips and others, doing videos. The profanity is left, right, and center, so I can't. Basically, if the mother effers in Washington won't take care of this crap, let me clean it up really bad. I mean, really, as much as I can, we will. You don't want to mess with these guys. That's all I want to say. So we may even have now a gang war, a race gang war developing in LA. Trump's got to send in the military, because this is exactly where this thing may end up. Okay, very quick. Newsom is making more news. Listen now to this. This is unbelievable. So he goes on MSNBC, MSDNC. Now he says that the illegal aliens rioting in the streets are, quote, just trying to live their lives and pay taxes. Oh, I can see that. Yeah. No, the guy on the bike waving the Mexican flag around the burning car. Oh, yeah, hey, he's a worker. Hey, I'm a law-abiding guy. I just want to pay my taxes. That's all I want to do. And he's now challenging, forget Tom Homan. He now is challenging President Trump to arrest him. He's taunting him. He's goading him. He's now screaming in the camera, saying, come on, tough guy, arrest me. Come on down and arrest me. I think it's time to send in a Black Hawk helicopter. As Kevin in New Hampshire texted me earlier, send in a special operations team on a Black Hawk helicopter. These guys are pros. They're incredible. They do extraction operations all the time, special operations. You fly it in, just 3-4 guys right down a rope. Whoop. They go down. They grab tough guy Gavin Newsom, and put him on that Black Hawk helicopter, and bye-bye. Lock him up. You want to get arrested? Okay. That's no problem. We can take care of that for you. 617-266-6868. Richard in Saugus. Thanks for holding, Richard, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I'm listening to all of this stuff, and I'm just getting angrier and angrier because I agree with everything you're saying. But I want to drag you back for a minute or two to the 60s. At that time, people were protesting Vietnam. And right or wrong, they were protesting. And we were called up to quell the riots. And we called it a little bit differently than they're doing today. They're coddling these people. When they called us up, they trained us on riot control. The first thing they did was they did the formations. So we did a V formation, we fixed bayonets, and we marched forward into the crowd, pointing the bayonets at their throats. And you know what? They backed up. They backed up because the people who do the rioting are all the same. They just are. They're made out of the same material. The second thing I wanted to make a point of is whatever happened to water cannons. Water cannons disperse people. Tear gas, you throw it around, it's outside, it disperses, and if they have masks, it's ineffective. But a water cannon, that backs them up. That gets rid of them. why is there a reluctance to do the things that we know work? I don't understand it. So those are the 2 points I wanted to make, and just get your comments on those.
Richard, look, I think the answer, and you're right, it's because we become very soft on criminals. And the softer we get, the more emboldened they become. We should be using water cannons. We should be using bayonets. We should be using a lot more force. They're reluctant to use rubber bullets. Use rubber bullets. I'm sorry, man. Give it to them. They asked for it. They're the ones who are breaking the law. They're the ones who are engaging in utter mayhem and anarchy. We're not going to allow society and civilization to unravel because of these animals. So, no, man. It's time for some serious law and order. I gotta go. Bye-bye.